No, I'm telling you, the Elusive Samurai was wild in this week. I think we gotta cancel the show. We had a good run, but as much as I'm all for tying people up, bonding them up, and smacking them around in consensual fun times, to somehow end up with Choji freaking Maru, the misunderstanding alone was just hilarious. I was like, you know what? It's a misunderstanding. They thought our boy needed a shrine maiden, and they let their imaginations run wild that he was into some kinky rope play. But then by the end of the episode, Yorishige didn't end up in that situation simply because of himself. We know damn well Chojimaru was involved in punishing him like that, but we had a good run. I think it's about time we cancel the show and call it quits. But seriously, what a hilariously entertaining, if not freaky episode, especially when it came to the villain of the show. You know, I have those full live reactions over on Patreon. If you want to see my full link of thought to any of these Elusive Samurai episodes, it's going to be over there exclusively. So, we had the week break. No surprise, a lot of behind-the-scenes issues with the scheduling of this show. And given the insanity that they did in the past arc, I mean, take all the freaking time you need and not kill yourself. Because rip the animators, they are pushing themselves beyond breaking limits. This episode, a lot more tame and chill, but it doesn't make it a slow or boring episode. The main focus is basically around Yorishige not having his powers, trying to figure it out, and we have a very silly, funny episode where basically Chojimaru is, running around with like a chicken with his head cut off, doing all these ridiculous requests, and in return, the people around him are like, yeah, we'll do anything you want, young lord, but what the hell, why do you want eel, why do you want this? Why do you need straw? And then just the fact that in the distance they look and they say, wait, is that our boy? Like, why is he screaming about needing a shrine mate, and why is he because often when I watch anime, I have an unhinged, dirty mind. So I'll see stuff and I'll just crack a joke because I think it's funny. And most of the time, those jokes never come to fruition. But as I'm making a joke that it's basically a blow-up doll, they, in return, give me the visual that goes even past what I was imagining, and it's like he's smacking around his shrine maiden in BDSM gear, and I'm like, there's some things that we didn't need to see with Chojimaru, and that was probably top on the list. And then the fact that they surpass it with Yorishige, automatic Whippotron 10,000. The fact that you can have such unhinged shit in an episode that for the most part is actually pretty mature about how it handles things is just what I love about the show. But the best part was actually what they did with the antagonist. So, around the point when the brother tried to walk in and stopped himself, I paused and I thought to myself, I feel like the direction they're going is that Buddha, obviously a very religious figure, don't want that in whatever evil, corrupt room it is. Because he starts talking about how, like, hey, can I have that picture of Buddha? I have this great wood. You can replace it with this. I just think it's so special. And the deranged brother's like, absolutely, it's all yours. Go ahead. Turns out it's worse. The idea that the main villain of this show sees Buddha as prey. And then you see the full mural, the drawing, the painting that he did, and how evil and corrupt it is. This brother is absolutely terrified of him, and understandably so. We have two brilliant minds that, if working together, most people would not be able to stop. And I think the only reason it's truly going to crack and start to crash and burn is eventually evil bro's going to realize that his other bro ain't maybe all on board with his plans, because he feels like a monster. Like, it's not just because he feels like he doesn't have humanity, it's like it feels like something's possessing him and turning him into Satan, trying to cause the apocalypse in the world. And I like the element of fear that they were able to get across in these very subtle ways, but man, just like, you feel for him in that moment, man. It's like, that is not a family dynamic you want to be involved in. Thanksgiving dinner is going to be awkward as hell as we do show and tell what has everyone been up to, and our boy pulls out his book of drawings of him stabbing Buddha repeatedly, like, yep. That's some good drawings there, Johnny, you fucking freak. So, we have a lot of ridiculousness, though, with Chojimaru and just him running around all these different requests. But there was this one moment that I really liked where we get to see the spirits of the animals. Like, if we rewind 5 episodes back, I think it was around there, when we killed that giant boar. It like jumped off the, well, we forced it to, and then it obviously skewered itself. That spirit's actually around and kicking, and he's looking like he's living the high life right now. It was just a very beautiful scene, and the way they shifted the art direction. So the Shrine Maiden here comes over, you know, does a little mumbo jumbo. When he opens his eyes, he gets to see what she can, and it's just a beautiful scene. The thing about the art direction in a show like this is there's often times where you can tell what they're doing is they didn't have time to animate, or they didn't have time to detail, but it has such a unique art direction that even when something is objectively a weaker drawing, it still pops out and has a very unique style. And that's why I much prefer anime most of the time when it has this kind of like rough around the edges look, or it has a more expressive look, because it lends itself to not only be more creative visually when they can pop off with that sakuga, whether that's light effects or just crazy animation techniques, but on the flip side, when they do struggle to animate or produce things, it still looks visually good to me. And that's what I really like about the art direction of this show. We have a couple episodes left of this season, and overall, I mean, given the intensity of what has happened up to this point, I would be perfectly okay if the last couple of episodes were something like this. I don't need any more crazy action. I don't need any more crazy, what the hell did I just see moments. I'm very satisfied with where we are at with just 10 episodes. They can literally do whatever they want. This wasn't what I was expecting from the episode. I thought it would either be a much more boring Calm Before the Storm episode, or they would just throw us into the thick of it. Instead, they made a very entertaining batshit wild episode while still showing us the main threat and how much scarier he actually is than even we first realized. And for an episode all about gods and how the power of gods is based on the belief, we see that from our boy's perspective, then you flip it on the brother's perspective, and it's understandable why you don't want the people to know that your leader looks at Buddha as prey, because holy, like, what would you do in that moment? Very, very good messaging, well directed, probably getting canceled. I mean, the first one was a misunderstanding, the second one was a little too on the nose, so... You know, I'm joking though, but what a funny freaking episode. I'd love to know what everyone thought on this week's episode of The Elusive Samurai. You know, I'd say last episode 9, was the peak of the show, but this was like a peak of the show in a more comedic slice of life way. So I think episodes 9 and 10 are a great example of the types of storytelling and directing choices that this show can go with, but thoughts down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell, and like I mentioned, full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alrighty, so today we have Jesse Wright, Napoo, Gun Bunny, Edwin, and we also have Dan Yang. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and for the love of God, if you have any younger family members, keep them away from the provocative thoughts until they're of age, and then let them have their fun. Have a good one.